What's up everyone, my name is Tiny and welcome back to my channel. So today I decided to do a video on a serious topic that happened in my life. The reason why I decided to do it is because so many people ask questions about this situation, and I felt like I should just do a video so that way I can answer your questions. And also I feel like my life is a testimony for anyone who is going through this or anyone who knows someone who's going through this. And I feel like it is my duty to talk about this and just like share my testimony to you guys, because God has did a lot for me, and this was a hard journey that I had to go through, but I'm still standing by the grace of God. So I decided to do this video. So without further ado, let's get into this video. Alright, so as you can see by the title of the video, I had cancer. So this is the story of how I found out I had cancer. So basically, for a while I've been sick. I was sick actually, and I kept like having these chest pains and I kept coughing a lot, and I thought something was weird, like something wasn't normal, and I decided to go to the doctor. So basically it was in 2017. I remember I was coming back from Haiti, from my trip to Haiti, and I kept coughing and coughing and coughing, and I didn't understand why, and I thought maybe I catch something over there. So I went to the doctor and I explained the situation, and he was like, your lungs, they seem fine from what I can hear, and maybe it's just like a little infection that you had, so I'm gonna prescribe you some pills and just take the pills and you'll feel better. So I took the pills and it didn't do anything. So I was like, okay, maybe I just need to wait. So I waited and waited and I kept coughing. So fast forward 2 months afterwards, I came back from Haiti in June, and this was in August. So in August, I'm still coughing and I'm like, it's been 2 months, this is not normal. So I went to see another doctor, and the doctor was like, you have asthma. So I'm like, okay, which, could be true because my dad had asthma when he was younger. My brother had asthma. My nieces, they have asthma. So I'm like, it runs in the family. So maybe that's what it is. So they prescribed me some inhalers. I took them and I was feeling better for a while, but then afterwards, like, it stopped working. So I'm like, back to square one. What do I do? So I go back to the hospital. I go back to the clinic, and I see another doctor. It's actually a nurse practitioner, and she's like, maybe it's because you're taking them wrong. Maybe we should just you should take more of the inhalers. I'm like, okay. So I go back home and I try to take them another way, and still no result. So now we're in November, and at this point I can't sing. I love to sing, like I sing at church all the time, and I couldn't sing anymore. So I couldn't sing, and even when I was laughing, I was running out of breath, and I was like, okay, this is really not normal. Like, I can't laugh, I can't sing, I can't do anything. So at this point, I'm very fed up. So I go back to the clinic and they're like, you have nothing. I'm like, okay, clearly I have something because this is not normal. It's been going on for months. I keep coughing and coughing, and like, this is not normal. Now, I used to have chest pains, but the chest pains would last maybe like 2 to 3 seconds, and then the chest pains started to be 10 times worse. They used to last maybe like 2 minutes. They used to last maybe like 2 seconds, and now they were lasting 2 minutes instead. So I was like, okay, this is not normal. So one day in February. I don't remember the date, but I was at work and I was not feeling well. I had major chest pains, and at this point I really felt like I was going to have a heart attack. So I'm like, this is not normal. I have to do something. So I'm like, okay, let me schedule an appointment to see the doctor. So I keep working, and then at this point I'm not feeling well at all, and I honestly felt like I was going to have a heart attack. So I finished working, and then I get in my car, and I really did not know how I was going to go back home, because I felt like I was going to die, and I was going to die from a heart attack because the chest pains that I had was really horrible. So I called my dad, because we were sharing a car at this time. So I called my dad. I'm like, Dad, I'm gonna come pick you up, and I have to go to the ER because I really don't feel good at all. I feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack. So I'm driving, and while I'm driving, I'm praying to God that I make it home safely, so I don't kill myself while I'm having a heart attack, and I don't kill anyone else on the road. So I get home, and then my dad, he gets the car and he drives me to the hospital. The hospital is 5 minutes away from my house, so I felt like if anything was to happen in the car, I would have the time to make it to the hospital. So now I get to the hospital. There was not a lot of people at triage, so I go there, and then I explain the situation, and the girl, she's like, okay, we're going to do some tests. So they do some tests, and they're like, girl, you're not having a heart attack, but maybe it's a pulmonary emboli. So I'm like, okay, can I die from that? And she's like, yeah, you can. It's very serious, but you're not going to be able to see the doctor anytime soon. And I'm like, okay, so you're telling me I could die from this, but I'm not going to see the doctor? And she's like, no, the waiting time is pretty long tonight. So I'm like, okay. So when I got to the hospital, it was 10 p.m., around 10 p.m. Now it's 2 o'clock, and I still haven't seen the doctor. So 3 o'clock comes, and I still haven't seen the doctor, and I'm tired. My dad is tired. I went to school that day, and after school, I went to work. So I was extremely exhausted. So I was like, if the next person they called isn't me, I'm going home. So the next person that they called wasn't me, but something in my head was like, girl, stay. So I was like, all right, the next person better be me. So the next person was me. They actually called me. So I went in there. The doctor was like, okay, we're gonna send you to do some tests and stuff. So I'm like, okay. So I do the test, and then I wait another 30 minutes in the waiting room, and they call me back again. And then the same nurse that I saw at triage, she was there, and she was like, girl, I told you it was a pulmonary emboli. Like, we seen something in your lungs, and it looks like a pulmonary emboli. So I'm like, okay. So the doctor's like, yeah, we think that's what it might be, but we're going to keep you to do a scan. But the scans, you can only do them at 7 a.m. So we have to keep you. So I'm like, okay. So my dad goes back home, because we live next to the hospital, like I said. And he goes back home, and I stay. So at 7, they come, and they're like, okay, you have to do your test. So I do the test. It was a scan. I had to do a scan. So after the scan, I'm just waiting there. And now it's like maybe 11 a.m. And my cousin and my aunt, they come, and they're like just chilling with me. And then my aunt, she ends up going to work, and so I'm just sitting there with my cousin and my dad. So while I'm sitting there with my cousin on the hospital bed, there's this doctor, super unprofessional. She comes up to me, and she had this look on her face like someone was about to die, and I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, hi, Miss Simon, like, I am so sorry, but it looks like you have a lymphoma. I'm like, lymphoma? She's like, yeah, but I'm not your doctor, but your doctor will be coming to see you shortly, but I'm so sorry. And she walks away. And I'm like, is this a prank? And I watch a lot of Grey's Anatomy. I love Grey's Anatomy. It's my favorite show. So I'm like, I've heard that term before, lymphoma, and that sounds like cancer. So I asked my cousin, she had her cell phone on her, and I'm like, can you Google it? So she Googles it, and she's like, yeah, you know what? Let's wait for the doctor. And I'm like, girl, do I have cancer? And she's like, I think you do. So the doctor comes, super nice. She's actually my oncologist. And she's like, she asked me questions about my background and if anyone in my family had cancer. And I was like, no, not that I know of. And she's like, okay, so we're gonna keep you because we want to do more tests, and we also seen that you had like a large amount of water around your heart, which is why you felt like you were going to have a heart attack. So I'm like, okay. So I see a bunch of specialists and they're doing a bunch of tests, and they're like, we're going to keep you in the hospital. So I end up staying in the hospital for 2 weeks, and during those 2 weeks I had a bunch of tests that I had to do, biopsies, and other stuff. Anyways, so I ended up staying. It was the longest 2 weeks of my life. I wanted to go home. I was fed up. And yeah, so basically I ended up going home. And afterwards, sorry if you guys hear my dad in the back. Anyways, so I ended up going home, and afterwards the doctor called me, and she's like, we're gonna give you an appointment for March 1st, and you're gonna see the doctor, and afterwards you're gonna see the pharmacist, and then you're gonna see a nutritionist. The fact that she said that I had to see her, pharmacist, and the nutritionist, like, I just knew I had cancer for sure. Because like, they told me they think it's cancer, but it wasn't certain. But the moment that she said that I had to see these 3 specialists, I just knew like I had cancer. And I was telling my cousin, I'm like, girl, I think I really have cancer. But we didn't know what type of cancer it was. We didn't know what it was at the time, but we just knew that, you know, I had cancer. So fast forward March 1st, I ended up going to the doctor, and I was sitting there, and she's like, you have stage 4 Hodgkin lymphoma. So I'm like, okay. But she said, the thing is, we think it's Hodgkin lymphoma, but we're not sure if it's non-Hodgkin or if it's Hodgkin's. And she says, this is one of the only cancers that you could still make it through even if you're at stage 4. So, you know, she was very hopeful. And then she was like, you have to do chemo. It's gonna be maybe 7 months of chemo, 12 sessions of chemo that I had to do. So I ended up doing them. And yeah, so I will be doing another video to explain to you guys the process of like the 7 months that I had to do chemo. They were long and painful and hard months for me, but yeah. So anyways, you guys, so this is how I found out that I had cancer. If you guys have any questions, you guys can DM me, write your questions in the comments, and I will happily answer them. So as you can see, I'm still standing. I've been in remission for 2 years now, and I'm super, 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 super happy, and I'm super healthy and blessed. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Share it, like the video, subscribe to my channel. And like I said, I will be doing a part 2 on the process of chemotherapy. So yeah, so stay blessed, stay positive, stay happy, stay safe, and see you guys next time. Bye.